Last summer's deadly heat wave was unlike anything we've experienced in our lifetimes here in the Pacific Northwest. 3 days of record-breaking heat, one right after another. June 26th, 108 degrees. June 27th, 112. And the hottest day ever recorded at the Portland International Airport, 116 degrees on June 28th.
The heat dome actually formed in conditions similar to previous heat waves that have hit the Pacific Northwest. So what that means is that we get this ridge of high pressure that kind of centered itself over kind of off of the west coast of Washington and Vancouver Islands.
Larry O'Neill is the state climatologist and associate professor at Oregon State University.
Mostly on the...
He said there were 3 things that made the heat dome so extraordinary.
This high pressure was just super large. It was very high intensity. It set records for basically how high the freezing level was.
During the summer, it's pretty common to see freezing levels jump up to over 10,000 feet.
And it was just the fact that the atmosphere below it was as warm as we've ever seen it.
Mount Hood stands at over 11,000 feet. Mount Rainier, the tallest peak in the Cascades, is at more than 14,000 feet in elevation. Over that 3-day stretch in June, records were shattered, including a freezing level at nearly 20,000 feet.
So if you were to take a flight from Eugene to Seattle, the plane will kind of level off at about 20,000 feet. And typically temperatures there are, minus 20 degrees Celsius or something like that.
The record-breaking temperatures also came during a time when the entire state of Oregon was under some kind of drought.
So spring last year, Oregon experienced its driest spring on record, March, April, May. And what that meant was that there was no water on their landscape basically to evaporate.
When water evaporates, it cools down the atmosphere, but there was nothing to cool us off with. Combine the heat we had with the parched landscape of the Northwest, there was only one way for our temperatures to go.
It was an unprecedented event, how warm it got. So 116 in Portland, 112 in Eugene, I think it was about 115 or so in Salem. And, people move to the Pacific Northwest because to escape that heat. They come from California or, places in the desert Southwest or from the South. They kind of come up here because it is so nice and calm,
O'Neill also contributes the heat dome to what else?
The third factor, of course, is climate change. The Earth is just steadily warming, and so we have this baseline that just keeps going up, and so that added a few degrees as well.
So could these heat waves be something we start seeing every summer?
Heat at that extreme level is unlikely, at least in the next couple of decades. It doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Statistically, temperatures that high are unlikely.
Erica Fleshman is the director of the Oregon Climate Change Research Institute. She doesn't believe we are going to see a heat wave like we saw in June of last year become the norm.
So there are likely to be more heat waves and of longer duration and of greater intensity.
Both O'Neill and Fleshman agree. While we are seeing temperatures warm on a global scale, that doesn't mean we're going to be seeing these extremes year after year just yet.
By the middle of the century, so by about 2050 or 2100, towards the end of the century, this event that we had might be something more like a 1 in 10 year event or 1 in 20 year event. So this is something that we could see multiple times during our lifetimes.
The challenging part, according to O'Neill, is going to be making sure models pick up on our warming climate.
And there have been discussions and maybe some indications from the data that perhaps the climate models are not warming up quick enough.
A challenge they have been noticing over the last several years.
Historical data record is not guiding us, is no longer a reliable guide, if ever it was, to what we can expect in the future.
What we do know for sure.
The important thing, I think, to keep in mind is not sort of, oh, well, it's unlikely to be 115 this summer or next summer or anything like that, but it is getting hotter steadily.
It's not just our summers here in the Pacific Northwest that are running warmer. It's across the globe where we are seeing temperatures climb year after year.